everybody, we're here today with another great artist. Everybody, Madison. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm fine.
It's good to have you with us in our podcast. Madison, tell me about yourself. When did you start your musical journey? How did you start? What was the motivation?
So it started really, well, the earliest I can remember was very young when I was about age 5.
Age 5?
Yeah,
Wow.
I used to get up on karaoke, used to love singing Dancing Queen by ABBA. And then another early memory is being, I think it was age 10. I was obsessed with Pop Idol.
Okay.
So I asked my mum for a Pop Idol mic and stand for Christmas, which I did get. I never sung in front of her though.
Okay.
Too shy. But that's another early memory. And then I kind of decided to I had more of a passion and wanted to pursue it as a career. I think it was age 13. During half term, I was attending a performing arts type club, and then the mentors at that club noticed that I like singing, and they kind of mentored me and kind of pushed me and encouraged me, because they knew I had an interest in it. So they had a recording studio, so I was going in and I recorded a few covers. And then it kind of snowballed from there, really. I attended university, attended BIM in Manchester. I studied music there. And yeah, so they're the kind of main stages in my life, how I kind of progressed. They're my earliest memories.
Great. As a human being, from an early ages, maybe 5, 10, 15, being a teenager, we start to show interests to different careers, different paths in life, right? So what was that turning point for you that you realized? You said that you were 13 and you started to think of this as something that you really want to follow as a career. So what was that thought? What happened in your mind? There was an event that something happened, or what happened?
I don't really know. I've always just had a passion. It's just always been there. I've just always loved singing. From a very young age, I was always obsessed with Mariah Carey. So I was always watching videos of her. And then obviously as I got older, took an interest into Amy Winehouse and that. But like I say, because I was age 5 when I took an actual interest. So I don't know what it was. It was just, it sounds so strange, but it was just in me to this is what I'm pursuing as a career. But yeah, so.
I assume sometimes it happens in a gradual way, that it's not really in a specific event that you said, okay, this is what I'm going to do.
No, there wasn't a specific event. It was just kind of there. But as in my teen years, I was interested in singing. I knew that was going to be my career. But the school that I went to, it did kind of specialise in performing arts. So I was taking more of an interest in dance. And I did want to pursue music, but in that school, it was just if you was, say, you could kind of only focus on one. So I was studying dance, but I was never really allowed to pursue music. So even though I was kind of focused on dance, it sounds strange, I always knew I wanted to be a singer. Sounds strange, but it wasn't until obviously I turned, when I was obviously 13, I always knew I wanted to pursue music, but there was I was interested in obviously dance as well, but music was always my main priority.
You said you studied music.
Yeah.
What major did you study?
I wasn't really going to go to university to study music,
so
because
what major did you study?
I was studying music technology.
In college?
Yeah, in college. That was because the music course was full up. So even my mum was just go and do it, and you'll learn something. So I did, and then a few people that were on my course, they mentioned BIM, and I was the first year to start. So they opened in 2013, and I was the very first new year.
Okay.
It was a brand new university in Manchester. So I was like, okay, I'll just audition, I'll apply for it. My mum took me down to the open day, and I was like,
very supportive mom.
Oh no, she's very supportive. Like, she's like a little manager. She comes everywhere with me. She's very supportive.
That's really good.
So we went to the open day, and it wasn't like, because other music universities, it was very, there was no performance side of it. It was very like much the theory side, and that didn't really like appeal to me. So I went to the open day, and I was like, this seems like a bit of me. And then done the audition, and then there and then he was like, you've got a place. And I was like, really? This can't be real. And then I got in, and I loved it, and I learned so much from it, because I didn't really like know much about music in that, like theory wise. I'd never studied the theory side, and then I was introduced to all these different vocal warm-ups, all these different vocal techniques. I really enjoyed it, and I studied there for 4 years.
So it was more focused on the actual practice,
on the practice
of being a musician, rather than just doing a lot of essays and stuff like that.
Yeah, because if it was more theory based, I wouldn't have went. So I was like, oh no, maybe it was meant. So I was like, I gotta go.
As you probably know yourself, a lot of people are somehow not against, but they don't really agree with the studying, and they would believe maybe that's a waste of time and money, because we have a lot of musicians that they haven't studied, they don't even know about the music theory, and they are great musicians. And in my perspective, that's perfectly fine, because you don't have to study, and music is just something that you can learn on your own. You don't have to go like to any class or any university or any college. But at the same time, a lot of people know it's a must, and you have to learn, or it helps. So what was your kind of experience? How did you find the educational process?
I found it very useful. I learned a lot from it, and the tutors that are there, these are people that have been in the industry for like some of them 20 plus years. So they've got a lot of knowledge, like with performance, single vocal techniques. They learn you how to sing without straining your voice. There's just all like different tips and tricks that you wouldn't really maybe find out on your own. Where people say, you don't need to go to university for music. I would advise some people to go. If you're, some people are self-taught, and I think that's brilliant, but with my attention span's not really that good. So I don't really know, I can't play an instrument. So how I write my music is I get a melody in my head, and the vocal and the lyrics come. So that's how I write my music. But with, like I say, if you do want to get into university, obviously you need to know the basis of theory, music theory, so chords and stuff. But being a singer, it is useful, and you learn a lot, and it can help with your confidence, and it can help you become, find yourself really. But I'm not knocking people if they don't go, and I'm not like judging people if they do go. So it's what you feel is best for you, really.
Yeah, sure. Life is a personal experience.
Yeah, it is, isn't
Absolutely.
it?
So do you come from a musical family, or you were the first rule breaker of following music?
Yeah, because my mum's a fashion designer, so she does all my costumes for me.
Wow,
all my stage outfits.
Really
so good. I am really, I'm the first musician in my family.
What was your parents' reaction when you were showing some kind of an interest toward music?
Yeah.
Okay.
My mum loves it. Yeah, she's got like a little performer to entertain her all the time. She's like me biggest supporter, and she's always encouraged me. So I'd be like, oh mum, if I take a slight interest, then she's just literally like encourages me to like, this, that, well, look what I found this, why don't you go to do this or do that? And she's not forcing me, she's just like, there's this here,
allowing you to explore.
Yeah, no, she's amazing, so supportive. Yeah,
that's brilliant. So how much do you think that is important to have a supporting family to be able to follow your career?
I think it is important, because I know a few people that their parents don't support them. I'll go and get a proper job, and I'm like, being a musician is a proper job. Like, you can earn a living from it, even if it's singing covers, or, you know, musicians are always in demand. I'm always like offered, oh, why don't you come and sing, you know, in this pub? You know, if my mum wasn't supportive, you know, I might have moved out by now, you know, to pursue. But it is because, you know, they encourage you, you know, you do want to pursue it more, especially if they're encouraging you and, you know, they've got ideas for you and, you know, yeah, it is. But if you haven't, you know, for the people who don't have the encouragement, just keep going and then prove them wrong. You don't need support, but it is nice to have it.
Sure. I think it's going to be pretty tough though.
Yeah, because it's not their life. I know obviously Dave gave you life, but you don't owe them anything. So it's, you know, if that's your passion, go and do it. And even if you fail, get up again and try again. Like, you know, you'll get there in the end. You can't just, you know, you will have people around you that will tell you, oh, that's not achievable, or go and get a proper job. Like, no.
Naysayers are always
judge
around.
Me, like, oh, she's not going anywhere. How do you know? Like, do you know what I mean?
Naysayers are always around, you know.
Yeah.
You got to do... But the thing is, that's actually one of the things that in life, there is only me who can see the vision that is in my head.
No, that's so true.
Nobody else can be like physically in my head to be able to see what I'm like going for and what's my vision. And I cannot really expect anybody in that sense that to understand me, you know, because sometimes we are in that kind of mindset that we expect others to understand us, but no one can, because no one's is in our head.
No, that is so true. Like I say, I've got my own little vision and my own little world, and no one obviously, like you say, can see inside what's in there. So, you know, people can be judging from the outside, or, you know, oh, she's not on this festival or she's not on this station, but you don't know what my vision and goal that I have for my future just because it's not happening right now. It takes time, doesn't it? Like,
oh yeah, especially
it's
with
a journey,
music.
especially with music. It doesn't matter if it takes you 3, 5, 10 years. You know, people will make it. There's no age limit, especially where people are like, you've got to hit this goal at this age. No, don't think like that, because that's when, you know, things will go wrong. It is nice to have a goal and go, I'd like to have this done by a month's time or 3 months' time. But, you know, kind of long-term goals and success within the, you know, music industry, don't put like stress on you. Just kind of go with the flow and enjoy it. That's what I've learnt as well. That's what my mum says a lot to me. Just enjoy the journey, because I'll have meltdowns. I'll be like, this isn't going right for me, and, you know, I should be at this certain stage, and don't ever compare yourself to other people, because it'll hold you back and it'll set you back. You know, you just kind of got to fake it till you make it. Sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just like, I'm a star.
I've actually met this man that he doesn't have any social media, but he was making like $1,000 a week from like performing music, which is a good, decent. So it doesn't have to happen in a certain way.
No, it doesn't.
You know, as long as you are true to yourself and you do the things that you want to do, one day you would be able to make it.
I know people that are like earning like loads of money because it's in demand. People always want a singer. Like, you know, you go to a bar, there's a singer. You go to a restaurant, there's music on. People, you know, sometimes people can, you know, judge at what, you know, oh, I'm a singer. Sometimes I used to, like, I think it was when I was at university, just before I graduated, oh, what job are you going to get when you graduate? And sometimes I'd just be like, I used to say this one thing, like, oh, music therapy, because I used to think, oh, they're going to think, oh, how are you going to make it as a singer, sort of thing. Sometimes I used to think like that, but now when I meet people and they go, oh, what job do you do? I go, I'm a singer. I'm a singer-songwriter. And they go, oh, wow, where'd you sing? I go, everywhere. I do.
That's actually one of the things that I want to ask. How did you do the transition between the time that you didn't really feel comfortable, like expressing yourself, saying that I'm a singer, to the point that you feel comfortable and saying, oh, this is what I do. I don't really care what others think.
What others think. So when I was at university, I hadn't released any of my own music. So I was writing, but I was never like confident enough into get in the studio and release anything. So it was when it was in my final year, you had to do your dissertation, your final year project. So I'd written a song, and I co-wrote it. So I wrote it and then got someone to lay down chords for it who was in my year. And then got into the studio, recorded it, and released it, sort of thing. So, and when I did release it, I got on BBC Introducing Manchester, I did the live session, and then I was getting like emails, trying to play this gig, that gig. It just kind of really all came at once. It was really exciting.
What's it called?
Last Resort, that was my debut single.
Okay.
That was in 2017, so that was 5 years
ago. All right, I'm gonna put the links down below in the description. Make sure you go down there, click on them, and go have a listen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah. So it was kind of when I released my first single, and it was getting like, it was getting positive attention, and people were like, "Oh, your single's really good," and then I kind of felt confident enough in myself that I am now a singer-songwriter, so this is my career, and. So it was then on when I did graduate from university, because it was a few months after I released that in the May, and then obviously I finished in the June. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of out in the free world then. Got a full-time job, but I was still a singer-songwriter. So that was then, from then on, then when people were like, "Oh, what are you doing?" So I'm like, "Oh, I've just graduated from uni, I'm a singer-songwriter." So it was when I released my first single, that was when I was confident enough saying that I was a singer-songwriter.
Well, but what as you said, that's perfectly normal, because especially in the beginning of starting the musical journey, you have to bring the income somehow.
Yeah.
It's just, in the beginning it's not really happening, but at the same time you have expenses, especially with music.
Yeah.
It's an expensive industry to be in, because you have to spend a lot of money for promotions and things like that. If you're a producer, that's even gets more expensive, because you have to buy a lot of equipment to be able to cover your production. So when you want to produce music, do you tie yourself to one specific genre? To say like, I want to make pop music, or how do you title yourself? Do you title yourself a pop artist, or you don't really do that? What do you do in that terms?
Yeah, I don't tie myself to any genre, so it is a bit difficult when, say, I'm uploading a song onto a radio station or onto a distribution site, and it's like, oh, I just put alternative, because my sound is, people have said to me, "Oh, you're very soulful," or it gives R&B vibes. Some certain songs. So my first single, I would say it was more alternative, because it is just keys and strings and a bit of drums. It is very, not a dark song, but it's not very it's not poppy. So if it doesn't fit in the pop genre, I would just class it as alternative. For me. So yeah, I don't put myself into a genre, because if you was to listen to like all the, say, 5 songs that I've got like on Spotify or Soundcloud, they don't all sound the same. You go, "Oh, that sounds a bit like," I've had a lot of different compliments from my voice and my music. People have compared me to, say, like Adele, Amy Winehouse, Hannah Reid from London Grammar, Florence and the Machine. So that's like an array of genres, so I can't really I don't want to say pigeonhole myself into just one genre. I just like to be free.
As you know yourself, we are influenced by a lot of sounds and things subconsciously. So when we listen to those from time that even we're like a child, we would be influenced by them, and when we really get into the musical career seriously, and for example in this case we want to write something, we would be influenced by them even subconsciously. Whatever you listen to, you could have been listening to something like, I don't know, from the very far east, and that would have had some kind of influence on your production even today. Do you play any instrument? No. Do you think it's important to play an instrument to be a musician?
No, I don't at all. Because I've always taken an interest in singing, and I was especially when I was at university, I wasn't on the songwriting course, I was on the vocals course. So I was always like, oh, I'd love to have been on the songwriters course, but you have to, like I say, you need to be playing an instrument, and then you need to know how to, write on a chord sheet and all the chords for your songs, and then hand that to your session band to play. So how I write my music is, I'll get a melody and lyrics. That's just how I write my music. So with either obviously a pianist or a guitar player, I'll just sing it to them and then they'll just like add the chords. So that's how I write my music. But currently, because I don't have a session band anymore, well I did, and then since the pandemic hit, everyone's just got other commitments now. Sure. So I think it was like earlier last year, I was obviously felt a bit lost because I hadn't released a song in like nearly 2 years. I just discovered, you can buy beats online. So I was like, how am I going to go from here? And I was like, oh yeah, discover beats. So I was just like listening to loads. And there's so many online, of your type of genre. So say if you're into, say, 50s, 60s sound, doo-wop sound, or R&B, or even if you type like Amy Winehouse influence type beat, and then somehow I managed to write a whole big song. And my most recent single that I've released, called Let Me Go, I released it in March.
Okay.
That's how I kind of managed to release that. It was just a beat, and I just wrote a song over a beat. Actually,
since you brought it up, take me into a creation process. So you hear the melody in your head, okay? You go to a musician, and they're going to play chords along with that song, right?
And then sometimes I'll give them references as well of a certain song that I kind of like and take inspiration from that, but sometimes it isn't. And I can never just sit down with a pen and pad and just be like, I'm going to write a song today. I'll always have my phone on me and I'll add a voice memo or write it in notes. And I could just, it's when I'm most relaxed, so I could be making a cup of tea, could be in the bath, or I could just be chilling. And I'll just write a song and I can just snowball from there. So that's how I write there, and then I'll voice note it, and then I can, then email that over to, say, the guitarist or the, pianist that I'm working with, and then they can just like add the chords to it then.
Okay.
So they'll just work around what I've got. And then sometimes if that doesn't fit, then they can just recommend me to say, maybe we can speed this verse up a bit or slow it down, or sometimes it'll just work.
In case of you buying, as you said, like a beat online that works with the melody and the lyric that you already wrote or you're writing, so how do you approach that? Because I'm interested to know, how do you approach the licensing side of it? So what do you exactly do?
So they lease it. So you can either buy you can buy the lease, and then on certain leases there'll be like so many streams, but because my streams are like huge and magnificent at the moment, if I was to get to save like so each beat's licensed to like so many streams, sorry, and then you can also buy the unlimited lease, so you can just say, can I just outbuy this lease and no one else can buy it? Can I just buy this beat fully? But I don't do that. I'll just purchase it for, say, like £60 or £70.
Okay.
And then that's, you can use it for one music video, you can use it for one, you can, play it live, and then you're allowed to have, say, like 20,000 streams on it. But I know my songs aren't up to the 20,000 streams anyway, but if it did, I would have to then contact them and be like, this is getting...
You have to pay them more in terms of like pop. So that would be like...
You sign a contract with them as well.
Okay, that's interesting.
So I just kind of just bought it and then see where it went, really. And then if it does blow up, then I'd have to just deal with it then on. But I'm not thinking that too far ahead.
I think that's a good strategy, you know. You just have... You can just put it out there and see what happens,
Yeah.
When you have the song ready, what do you do? Do you send it to somebody else to mix and master it? And
when I purchased the beat, I then went into the studio with it, and then they mix and mastered the song and the beat.
So the song is ready. Do you have like a release strategy that you use, and what do you do?
Yeah, so it's very DIY anyway. So even down to like the photography. My mum takes my photos for me because I'm so particular with like my vision that I want, that I get a bit, because in the past I have worked with, say, certain photographers and the outcome of the vision that I had isn't what I like.
Wasn't what you wanted.
So I feel like I've wasted that money. So I'll just buy like obviously all the little props, buy the backdrop, And then I've got like a Polaroid camera, and then I've got an iPhone, and then we'll just have like a little creative day, and my mum will just take them all for me, and then I'll like edit them on there's like loads of different photo apps. So, you know, people, it can be expensive, but even if you haven't got the funds, there is ways to go about it. And I find it more enjoyable that way, just doing everything. I have like more full control over it, even down to like the music video. I've done a music video in the past and I've just not been happy with it. So I'll just get like certain clips of certain of my favourite movies and edit it together on iMovie. So that's like that part of it. That's the DIY part of the promotion. And then I'll just kind of make sure to promote it on all my socials, and it'll just be like a build-up release a week or two. I'll do it like maybe 2 weeks before I'm about to release it. I'll post like a teaser photo on all my social medias. Then I'll post like a teaser video with like, say, a 4-second clip of a teaser of my song. And then there's so many independent radio stations out there as well, especially if you're on Twitter, and they're so supportive and they're lovely. And they will all play your song as well. So I will email about, it could be up to nearly 40 radio stations, you know, and that's even including Amazing Radio, BBC Introducing Merseyside, and then, you know, all the other independents. But make sure you're on Twitter, because there's a lot of support for the music community on there, and it's really good. It's helped me over the past few years too.
Talking about social media, what's your relationship like with social media? Do you use them as a tool and put them back in its place, or sometimes you might find yourself like caught up in scrolling, or...
Oh, I'm glued to my phone. I have like conversation to my mum. Madison, I'm speaking to you. No, I do. I love social media. It's a shame though, because Instagram is just like had its day, hasn't it? Everyone's like more on TikTok now.
Okay.
And yeah, I like TikTok because it is a bit more creative, and there's so many talented musicians on there, and it is a really good platform, the amount of, you know, musicians that have been discovered on there. I've, you know, come across a few talented musicians that I enjoy on there too. So yeah, I do get caught up in scrolling, especially TikTok, hours on end.
But how do you have like some time off from it? Because obviously sometimes I've done it myself, sometimes you just scrolling, right?
Yeah.
And you find out that like an hour passed. So what do you do in contrast to make sure that you're just getting things done, but at the same time paying enough attention to social media? Do you go for a walk, or do you meditate?
I'll go down the stairs and annoy my mum. Yeah, or my nan only lives over the, you know, facing. I could go over to my nan's, or I'll have a nice bath. I'll spend time with my mum, or I'll be working, or I will kind of obviously, you know, just put it. I'll just leave my phone upstairs and just do stuff around the house, or there is ways of, you know, I do have break times from it, but it can get really addictive, can't it?
Oh, of course, yeah. That's why I think it's crucial and important to be able to just have those times that you're off from social media and you do something in the real world.
No, definitely, you know? Because you can get really like absorbed into it. And
how many songs have you released so far?
I have released a lot, and then I've taken a few down, you know, because I'm kind of a perfectionist with my music, and then I record a song and be like, oh, I like it, and then I'm like, oh no, I don't want to listen to it, I'm not happy with that part. So released Last Resort, Damages Done, Midnight, I Love You, Let Me Go. So I've released 5, and then I've got Love Is an Illusion coming out on tomorrow.
Okay,
Wednesday.
Oh, wow, sounds great.
So 6.
I'm gonna put the links to all the music that she mentioned down in the description. Make sure you go down there, click on there, and have a listen to it. So that's actually something that I'm really interested to understand, especially like with social media and Google, right? It's an algorithm. You've noticed probably yourself in TikTok, when you're spending more time on one certain video clip, it recognizes your attention toward that, and it's going to suggest more of that kind of a content to you, right? So it's an algorithm. So the more number of you, in terms of songs in this case, exist out there, the more reach you would be able to have out there. So the question is, if you had a chance to release one really good quality song a year, comparing to a situation that you can release one album, in terms of quality might not be that great, but obviously the message is the message that you want to deliver. Which one would you pick?
Oh, the one single a year.
One single a year.
Because if my mum says it, it's quality over quantity.
Okay.
Because I panic a lot, which is one thing musicians shouldn't do. Don't ever compare yourself to other people, because it's not a race. Everyone's on their own journey. And I do it, I released a single in March, and now we're in November, and I'm releasing another single. And there's obviously a gap, and I panic thinking, but, I've got to be consistent. And because obviously a lot happened in the summer, I was busy and, I wasn't well. So there was a lot of delays, and you will get a lot of delays, but I always think, there's got to be a reason for that delay. Always think the positive side of it and think, there's got to be a reason as to why there's a delay or why I can't, the universe isn't allowing me to release this song. So, I'd rather release, obviously one good quality song, because you could release, one big album with all these songs that, that aren't really that good. So people would rather pay attention to a really good quality song, because you'll have to, I'm the same, if I get obsessed with the song, I will listen to that on repeat until I feel sick of it. But that, I'll continue to listen to that song. Where if I've got an album full of songs, because there is certain albums that I listen to, and you do miss a few songs off. So
what do you think about obviously the marketing side of it, as you said, the algorithm side of it? Because if you release one song a year, in 10 years you have 10 songs out there. Okay, but that's just my thought process. But if you release one album a year, after 10 years you have 10 albums. And I would assume that down the line, after a few years, from releasing a lot of songs, you would gain more and more experience, and the quality of your songs is gonna go higher and higher. And you've gained so much experience, and maybe you had a massive network out there as well, because you released those many songs.
Yeah, to be fair, I can look at it that side, that mind you, I'm just going from my experience, that from the past 5 years, I kind of have released one single a year, and I've still managed to, build up, it's not a massive fan base, but, still kind of, build your kind of fan base up. But it's kind of putting yourself out there. So open mic nights, gigs and stuff. But I suppose if you're talking on a much larger scale of being, say, signed to a label, having all this marketing behind you, I would do obviously an album a year. But being at this stage in my career, a single a year is good. Because obviously you can build your fans, or build, your network up around you by putting yourself out there to go to open mic nights and put yourself out there for promoters to do gigs. But like I say, if you're on a larger scale of being signed to a label, then an album a year would, be good, like you say, because 10 years time you've got all those
10
songs.
albums, of course, Do you feel any kind of pressure from social media that you have to look in certain way, behave in certain way, or say certain things?
Sometimes, yeah. So, I not look a certain way, because I'm very happy in that sense within myself. But doing things, where you especially TikTok, and you're always seeing people and they're always, look what I've done in a day, or I'm out going on holidays, or going out on trips, and I'm always got FOMO, thinking, I'm missing out on, life, or look at this restaurant, look at, she's always out doing stuff, I want to be doing that. But there's only so many hours in a day, and I've got work, or I've got new music. But I then obviously think to myself, well, it's silly thinking like that, because you've got all, you've got the rest of your life, you're only young, and don't the one thing that you should never do, the worst thing you can do is compare yourself to other people.
Comparison
No,
is a
don't.
killer.
Like, just kind of focus on yourself, especially when you are a musician. No, don't ever compare, because everyone's on their own journey. And
Comparison is a killer because you don't know what privileges others have in their life.
Yeah,
you know what
true.
I mean? So you can't really, the only thing that you can compare yourself to is your past. You know, you can become better and better every day.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. Very true. So Madison wants to write a song. How do you find collaborators? How do you network?
Well, Instagram's helped me a lot. Especially if you use, the singer-songwriter hashtags and that. I've had people, follow me, and then it's kind of snowballed from there. I've had messages, can we, I'd like to collab, but we've not obviously collabed yet because we don't live in the same city. But people, if you network on social media, then, there will be people out there that will want to collab. Or most of the people that I know that I have collabed with in the past, say musicians, not say other singer-songwriters. I've known three mutual friends, mutual people, or people that I've went to university with. So because I went to a music university, a lot of my followers are from university. So that's kind of where that's helped me. But there's loads of pages out there, especially on Facebook. There's I think it's Liverpool bands or Liverpool musicians. You could go on there, you can post on there and say, you're looking for a guitarist or someone else to co-write with. There is or even on Twitter, social media is, it's a very powerful tool to find other musicians and that.
Someone message you online and say, let's collaborate. How do you choose that person? What are the things that you check for to say, okay, these are all right. This is a genuine kind of thing.
If they haven't got videos up of them playing, I'll have study the live performance, and then or if they haven't, I'll message them and ask them if they've got any footage or any second MP3 of them playing. But if not, I'll just go with the flow, and if there isn't, I'll just meet up with them, have a jam, and then if it flows, then yeah, and if it doesn't, you would
still be open to explore it and see what happens.
Because you never know. You just kind of go with the flow, don't you?
Do you have a mentor? And do you think it's important to have a mentor?
I don't have a mentor, but I have my mum, and she is kind of my mentor. She always gives me that kick up the bum. if I need, I always do kind of need the support, because it is hard. It is hard being a musician, and the amount of meltdowns and tears, if things aren't going right for me. And then my mum always says, always look at the positive side of things. And I think it was in the summertime. My mum said, oh yeah, look, there's the open mic night, and it's at the Cavern of a Monday. And she was like, just go to that. Just go, because I was my confidence is, I hadn't played a live gig in a while, and my confidence wasn't really the best. So obviously the first night I was going every Monday. I haven't been for a while because I've been really busy. But there's a lot, there's a lot out there for independent musicians. But yeah, she's very supportive.
That's really, I think that's really important. From the things that you're telling me, your mom seems to be your manager, your advisor.
Yeah, she is. Momager.
That's really good.
She's the best.
Madison, do you have plan B?
No, there isn't a plan B.
How does it work in your mind? What do you tell yourself mentally when you want to think, this is the only way and I want to go ahead with this?
I know I'm going to get there. You've got to, because if you don't believe in yourself, you can't be in the industry.
Nobody else can.
No, and nobody else can. And you know what, you're always going to get, not every door is going to open up to you. You're going to have a lot of people just shutting the door in your face, or people not replying back to email, people not playing your song. You might not be happy with a certain part of your song, but other people won't hear that or see that. You've got to just, like I say, fake it till you make it. You've got to believe in yourself and just keep going. And because if you say there's a plan B, or I can just fall back on. No, that isn't for me. No plan B. It'll always be singing, always.
So where is that plan A? Where do you see yourself in 20 years?
Touring the world, playing sold out arenas, even stadiums with my music. I want to win a Grammy Award. That's literally always been,
That's great.
the goal. I want to write music for films, like a soundtrack, especially James Bond. I'd love to write a song for James Bond. And sell loads of albums.
Brilliant.
Tour the world. And I'd love to go on the road for a few years now. Yeah. That'd just be amazing, especially experience, travelling all around the world. Play Glastonbury.
Wow, that's
and Jules Holland, playing Jules Holland. That's another main goal of mine. So
that's great.
I will get there.
But that's what it is. You gotta have these visions in your head.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that makes you get up every day out of bed and do the things that you have to do to be able to get there. Do you think talent exists, or is it only and purely work ethic?
It's both. It is both, because it's mainly I'd say 50-50. I don't want to say it's purely based on talent, because it isn't, because there's people out there that there is musicians out there that I wouldn't say they're amazingly gifted. That's just my opinion, but they're smashing it and they're the number one. That's just what it is, isn't it? I just think it's down to your passion and your love and your vision. And you don't have to be the best singer, you don't have to be the best writer. You've just got to love what you do. And it's mainly confidence, that's what it is. If you've got the confidence, people will love you.
Mm-hmm.
I do lack a bit in confidence, but I'm getting there.
That's actually interesting, that we want to dig deeper there. So when you say lack of confidence, what does that mean?
Nerves. So, you'll get people who, go on stage and, they're getting the crowd going. And mine is eye contact, and I can be, when I'm performing, it can be a bit of sometimes inward. But I think it's the more you perform, let's say there's artists say Jim Morrison from The Doors, or even Amy Winehouse, even Adele now, she still gets a lot of stage fright. She's playing Las Vegas, the amount of time she's had to stop her set because she's off key, because the nerves are that. It is, but you've kind of got to, like I say, fake it and just be people are here to see me, and you just kind of got to put a bit of a front on.
We'll be back. So Madison, tell me, what are some challenges that you faced during your musical journey?
Oh, quite a few. So lack of commitment with other session band musicians. So, people cancelling on you last minute before gigs, or which I've had before, and then you've had to panic the night before trying to get, another keyboard player. Lack of people to write with. I struggled with obviously finding people to write with, so I took it into my own hands, and then that's where I discovered beats, and then I'm now comfortable writing with beats now. And other challenges are going to the studio and the outcome of the song not being how you envisioned it. So that's with obviously the mix and the mastering. I've had that a good few times. I'm still not 100% happy, with certain songs that I record now, but they do sound, they sound good, but I'm just too much of a perfectionist. But there's a lot of struggles, being a musician, but most of it is down to other musicians, so that's where I don't really rely on anyone now. I took it into my own hands, and I work with beats, and when I sing live, I've had backing tracks made. And also don't allow other people to judge you as well for not performing with a live band, especially when you're a solo musician, because they're here to see you, not here to see the session band. And I know it does sound good hearing live music, but when you're a solo musician and then you have to then pay yourself. If you do want session musicians, most session musicians, obviously they want pay and they don't want to play for free. And I sometimes don't want to, can't afford to be paying other musicians, especially if they're not tight and it's not, it's not really a tight session band, but you've still got to pay it,
Sure.
That's down to obviously lack of rehearsals, because I will, being a solo musician, I have to pay for rehearsal space, and then I have to pay them for coming down for rehearsing. I then have to pay obviously for the session musicians, and then if I want the session musicians recording in a studio, this is why obviously I use Beats as well. You have to pay for the session musicians in studio time, plus you're paying studio time, then mix and mastering and everything else. And so I just like being a one-woman band and doing everything myself.
It's really tough,
It is.
I think especially in the beginning, some people might not realize that from the very beginning, which is writing the song, writing the lyric, composition, arranging, recording, mixing, mastering, and that's just only the beginning. And then you're gonna promote yourself and marketing, licensing, publishing, distribution, and everything, which is a lot. And I think from my perspective and from things that I've talked to all the musicians that we've talked so far, is a combination between expanding my skills as an artist to like teamwork and finding the right team around me and like surround myself with the right team, which is really tough, as you said, because for example, in this case, in your case, your mother knows you. When you take her to like a photo shoot session, she would be able to give you a better kind of idea, or give you better ideas of what to do and what not to do, because she's closer to your vision.
No, definitely.
Right?
That's why.
Yeah.
She knows my angles, or that is so true.
But I think it takes time to be able to find those team members.
Yeah.
Sometimes it could be one of your family members, but sometimes I have to outsource it in a way to be able to like connect with people and network with them, to have them on my team whenever I want to work with them. Okay, let's say you're in the process of writing a song and you get the so-called writer's block. What do you do? How do you deal with it?
If I have writer's block on a certain song, so like I say, I am currently in the process of writing a song anyway that I do have a beat for. And I have the verse chorus, but I just don't have like the bridge for it. I'll go back to it every day, so I'll just play it.
So you don't leave it, for example, for a while?
Well, like, to be fair, I haven't touched it for a week, but before that I would go back to it, because sometimes when I'll play the beat and I'm listening to it, the sound, the words will just appear, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So as I'm listening to what I've already wrote, and then what can go there, and then if not, I'll go on my notes, because I've got bloody years of notes, and then or scroll through lyric books and go, oh, that bit can fit in that bit, does that work? And if not, then I will just leave it and then come back to it. But that's how I work through writer's block.
That's how it happens. Sometimes it's like a puzzle. You gotta just put something there, take it out. Does it work? Does it not work? It's just swap it with something else. Till you get to a point that you are with a finished so-called product that you're happy with. That's actually how it happens. Imagine that music does not exist, or any music-related kind of jobs and careers. What would you do? Who would you be?
I was really interested in dance, like I did mention earlier on in the podcast, which some people don't know. Some people might think, what, she was a dancer? But yeah, I went to, I studied at Notre Dame. I don't think it is a performing arts school anymore, but it did specialise mainly in dance, and I was in like dance group, dance club. I did dancing outside school, dancing half term, competitions, and when I went to sixth form, I did dance as my A-levels, and I was going to go to university to study dance. I went to a few auditions and I didn't get in. And at that time, I was suffering a bit with depression. Like when I turned 16, I don't know what it was. Just started obviously sixth form, and my mood just wasn't me. Just was going through the motions really. And I was just, you're just like, what is going on? I was just like, I don't know, I just kind of felt like I just didn't enjoy it as I used to. Fell out of love with it, but I think at the back of my mind I always knew music was where it was heading to. And that's why I studied, so I did 2 years dance, and then when I finished there, I was like, what am I going to do? And my mum was like, why don't you go to college, back to college, and then study music? So I did, obviously contacted college, and they were like, no, we've got no more spaces for the actual music course, but we do have music technology. So I was like, okay. So went and did that for 2 years. Didn't really enjoy it. Don't think I can remember a thing from it. But, I met like a few people there that, I'm still kind of, people that I'm friends with now. But from going to studying music technology, that's where I discovered the university in BIM, because people that were on that the music course, obviously mixed with the music technology course, and I was like, oh, where are you going to university? And they were like, oh, I'm going to this new university called BIM in Manchester. So I went in the next day and I was like, hey, Mum, have you heard about this? And then it just snowballed from there, and then I got in, and then obviously 10 years later or something now, I'm here, so.
Talking about the subject of depression.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with it? Because I think as a human being, we go through a lot of emotions in our lives, different period of time, different time of the day, you know what I mean? And we always, as a human being, face these kind of feelings, anxiety, depressions. How do you personally deal with them? What do you do?
Oh, it's been a very long journey of, suffering with depression, anxiety, mainly panic attacks. I've suffered a lot, really bad with that. So I was up and down over the past, say, about 8 or 9 years, like really bad, with the three. And, I did go to, obviously, I've had therapy, I've had CBT, EDMR, and it was nice to speak to someone, but it just wasn't like, and to be fair, being truthful, I was a bit destructive, drinking, being wild, going out all the time. And my mum, my mum's always been there supporting me. But I think it's up to you when you really want to take your mental health and really sort it out. And it wasn't until the pandemic hit and I was stuck, stuck in the house, 24/7. And I, even my mum was at the point where you really need to go to the doctors and really need to, sort it out. So I was on and off, medication for the 8 years, and I think that's what worsened me, because I'd be on it and then I'd be like, oh, I'm fine now, come off it. And the worst thing you can do is take yourself off it, because that will worsen your mental health even more. And for 2 years now, I've been on medication, and I'm the best I've ever been. Like, my anxiety isn't half as bad as it was. I'm not depressed at all. I'll have my little down days, but I'm sound now. Like, and medication isn't for everyone. But if you just take that little step and go to the doctors, just tell them how you feel. But you've got to help yourself, because if you just don't try on the medication or try with the CBT, there's different ways of, helping with, mental health. The gym. I've heard the gym helps people more than medication does, because medication isn't for everyone. But because my panic attacks were that bad, I was having 10 a day. I was literally thought I was dying. I was ringing 111. Because you feel like I've had, chest pains. I've went to A&E, the walk-in centre, because I had shooting pains and I was thinking I was having a heart attack. But that's in the past, and you heal and you move from it, and but you've got to help yourself. You do, you really, mean, and think of ways of, to kind of get over it.
First of all, thank you for being so honest and brave to talk about, because I think it takes a lot of courage to be able to talk about these deep feeling that we have inside. And but as you said, I totally agree, medication is not for everyone. And I think medication, from my perspective though, medication is there to help me to get to a stable state. If I'm using medication forever, I don't really think it's going to work on my favor. I think I got to be able to find other ways that I would be able, maybe with gym, maybe with other form and shape of exercises or whatever, to be able to get to that stable mental state. And those medications would be able to help me to ease me through to that process. Otherwise, I don't really think taking medication forever, unless like in critical, for example, situations, or I'm in an age that's like changing might be hard or whatever, which is crucial to take medication, is not really a good idea. Unless I'm in those critical kind of situation. So I want you to make a prediction. We're coming from a place that we were listening to vinyls and cassettes and CDs, right? We are in an era that we're streaming online, and vinyls are having a bit of a comeback, right? But what do you think what would you think in 20 years how do you think we're gonna listen to music?
Like I've said to my mum, like, you know, I wish the music industry was what it was like back in the, you know, the 80s or even the 90s, where, you know, you could buy people would still go out and buy cassettes or CDs, or, because like I say, the music industry is like, you know, it is a bit oversaturated, isn't it? Everyone wants to be a musician, everyone's creating music, and it is a lot harder now for musicians than it was back in the day. And now it's even sad as well for musicians, because the only way we can really earn money is by touring and selling merch. And even then, venues want a cut of your merch, which I think is very cheeky. But when it comes to prediction of music, I don't know. What I think they should do is, you know, they might bring vinyls back, but I can't see it being. It is very popular at the moment, but it's not popular than streaming, because it's a lot easier for people to stream music online, because everyone's got a phone and, you know, Spotify or iTunes.
It's really hard to say.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It would be cool, you know, if, you know, CDs, you know, made a big comeback, because I still like buying CDs, you know, just playing your CD from start to finish. But yeah, that'd be my prediction. I'd like to see, you know, a big, you know, shift in CD sales again. But
3 things that you wanna promise yourself in front of the camera that you wanna either start doing or you wanna do it when you walk out from here today.
I'd like to start making more videos, like, you know, even if it's just singing my own songs and putting them on. Be more active on TikTok, because I know that's like that algorithm is a lot more powerful than Instagram at the moment. Instagram's terrible, but yeah, just to be more active and on TikTok. Be more active on TikTok and post more videos of my music, even if it's just singing it a cappella or singing it with my backing tracks, and just promoting myself more.
3 things that you're grateful for.
I'm grateful for my mum. I'm grateful for music. And I'm grateful for life, really. I am, because I love life.
I think it's important to be able to have an attitude of gratitude, because that brings us to the present time and makes us think about the things that we have in our lives.
No, that is so true, to be grateful.
Last words.
Support your local musicians.
Okay.
Support, because especially, you know, you're not signed, independent. Musicians need your support, especially, you know, local support. So stream my music.
That's it. I'm gonna put all the links to her social media and all her music down in the description. Make sure you go there, give her a follow, listen to her music, and follow us for some more. Thanks again for
thank you.
coming. It was such a pleasure, and we'll be back with some more.